All right, welcome to Z's Bees. We have extra keepers with us today. This is Becky. She is in. Oh, this is good. She's in from California. So this is the hive that we've been checking throughout the whole year. The biggest thing is we put a queen excluder on here. We want to make sure that they're traveling in and out of it. So our goal today is 1, check for swarming. 2, check to see if they're storing nectar. And this is really early in the year, so I like already that I'm seeing bees up there, which means that they are traveling through the queen excluder. And just as a reminder, if you don't have drawn comb, don't use a queen excluder because they won't go through the excluder to draw comb out, or at least they'll do it at a much slower rate. So we'll just smoke them a little bit. They look pretty calm again. This is really good, and I can see already that they are drawing some fresh wax into the combs. If you remember, we did a 9 frame, and this is really, really good. The amount that I'm seeing up here, I'm just gonna tell by the weight here, I can tell already that they are storing some nectar. So with the queen excluder, you can see all the shiny stuff in there, Frank?
Oh yeah.
So that's all gonna be honey. So that's nectar, which is about 80% water, and as they dry it, they will then go down and it'll become honey once it reaches about 16 to 20% moisture content or water content in there. So it's already starting to get a little bit more. So we'll take, and remember I'm doing 9 frames up top. So our goal is that they draw the comb out a little bit further. Since they're only storing honey there, they're more likely to draw that out. And the amount of bees that are up here, this is going to be a huge producer. We just have to keep them from swarming. So again, Don, if you can get right in the sun, capture some of that. That's all nectar. We pulled sugar water 2 weeks ago, I think it was. Don't ever run sugar water when you have a honey super on, or they'll store sugar water. So let's check out this here. We'll take, and I'm gonna set this over here since those guys are. So this is the queen excluder. There's a size to that, and I think our smoker went out. So one of the things I do is I keep a torch lighter in my pocket so that when you inevitably have your smoker go out, you can light it quickly. Yeah, they're not flighty at all, so you can probably come as close as you want. We'll see what they're like once we get into the brood chamber. Again, the brood chamber is these 2 deep boxes. That's where the queen works, and they store their honey and pollen and everything that they use for the hive. Everything above that we will end up harvesting. So now once we get into here, they'll get a little bit more, you'll see the sheer number of bees that are in here. But this one was new this year. I'll show you the difference in year-old wax. I can tell they're storing nectar in here. So again, you see all the shininess in there. So this is almost pure nectar, but then you see here they have different color pollens throughout. So you still look for the queen, but she probably wouldn't be over here. And then they're just starting to draw this side out. It's really good. So I'm gonna take and set this frame here, just like that. We'll start to move over, and we're really gonna start to look now for queen cells and the queen. So here's a good example of, we'll keep an eye out for the queen. This is all about 3 or 4 day old larvae. So you can see where those are the fresh bees that are kind of sitting in a circle. Yep. This is all honey on the outside, and I'll show you guys here. So there's the larva, a couple days old. The egg state like 1 or 2 to 3 days. And this is all honey. So if you go through here and open this, that's all honey. Watch how fast, I'm sure they'll go over there and start cleaning some of that up already. You see the temperament of these bees remains to just be phenomenal. some more weight on this one. So now this is a little bit older brood, but you see the queen already back-laid all that, which means that as soon as a bee hatches out, they'll clean out their cell and she'll go back in, and then you have all the fresh nectar all on the outside there. This frame, so we'll start to see more brood because they're starting to store pollen. So the next frame will probably be brood. I'm looking down here, see right here, this is the start of just a little queen cup. So I'm just gonna open this up. There's nothing in it. That's normal for them to build it, but I like to take care of those this time of year just so you stay ahead of the swarming. I don't see the queen there. Of the queen. So this again is just an absolutely beautiful frame. So this is all brood. You see the nice yellow pollens. Most of that's probably from trees. You'd think it's from dandelion because the yellow, but actually dandelion, it's so dry, they have to mix it with, I guess, saliva or whatever they use, and it comes out more orange. So that's probably dandelion pollen, and then this is all from different trees, likely. And again, this. And to give you an idea, one side is about 3,500 cells. So you can see how many bees that would be in a short period of time. Let's see if I can find a drone. Their goal is to go out to a queen mating area and mate with the queen. And when they mate, that's the cells there. Again, this is just perfect. So this is a good example. On your healthy frames, you're gonna have brood, pollen, and then honey. And so they have all their food that they need right there. Just a perfect circle.
I was gonna say, is it normal kind of in that rainbow?
Yep, exactly. Yep. Yeah, that's what you really want. So when you think of it as a whole, it's like a big, kind of a big circle, and then they line it with all the food. So from the bees.
There's chills, huh?
Yeah, and so in the coming days, we're gonna really have to watch this hive because as this all comes out and starts hatching, hopefully we time it exactly with the heavy nectar flow. So their goal is to store a bunch of honey and nectar. If we don't time it, or if the weather doesn't cooperate, then they want to swarm because they're going to outgrow this hive very quickly. Area, if she's not down below. So this looks like much older. Let's see if we can find one that's hatching out. And the queen already back-laid a lot of this. Again, you see the, and what do you see on the bottom of this frame? See those, Frank? Those two right there.
Queen cells?
Yep. So they're starting with a little bit of queen cells, so I'm just gonna open them up. There's no egg in there. There's no white royal jelly, which means that they're not laid yet, but they're preparing. So I really wanna get in this bottom box to make sure that there's not swarm cells down below. So this is looking excellent. This is where it really comes into play. So again, they're storing here. I don't think the queen, so this is all laid in the outermost frame, which a lot of times they won't even touch. They're already doing really good drawing that out. Really, really nice. Nothing really on the backside. Another big drone. So give them a little smoke to get them to move down. So now what I'm going to do, so this is another good way to just kneel down and see if you see any cups that you missed. I don't see any. All right, so this, you set aside, that's the remnants of our pollen patty. This hive took down 2 pounds of pollen patty. I used the Bee Pro, which is a synthetic pollen. There's just a little bit of actual pollen in there. And then what I want to do here, I'm going to clean up some of this burr comb again, just so that our frames are easily movable. Not too bad. So our 5-frame nuke, the original one is 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. These 5 are what they had, what, about a month ago, 3 weeks ago? Not that long. So all of this work started with those 5 frames just a few weeks ago. So I'll take a look for her here. Second most one. Again, these guys are all storing. So I take I like to set that one here. Now we really want to pay attention. I wouldn't be surprised if we don't see some swarm cells, because again, that is all laid out. If you start doing the math of about 3,500 cells per side, how much brood we've seen, just for a room. All right, so now let's take a look here. See a lot of this next frame. The bottom looks like a whole bunch of drones as well. Don't be intimidated by this frame. There's a lot going on, but looks all pretty good. So now I really want to watch for the queen on this frame because there's a lot of open cells. Which means maybe she's over here laying. And I want to give a good look. Nothing sticking out down there for indications of swarming. There she is. I'm not even going to point her out. See if you guys see her. You see her, Frank?
No.
She's a little hard. Don, you got the whole frame?
Trying.
All right. So
I don't want to get in front of their entrance.
So
Oh.
There she is. Yep.
so they're pretty calm. Are you comfortable if I come over towards you? Let's see here. I just want to make sure that. So she's not flight worthy per se here. She also doesn't overly care for the light there. So
The light, like the sun?
yep. You think of her whole life is spent kind of in darkness.
Yeah.
Did you see her?
No.
I'll come over once she stops playing games with me here. All right, so we found her again. She's on this third frame in as you look at the box. So now I'm just gonna go through. This is really good. There's a lot of open cells here that give her room. They're not gonna feel overcrowded. I don't have to worry about squishing anything. There's a lot of pollen down in here, all that yellow. Nice yellow, that's probably from all the trees. So that's good. And what I'm gonna do here is I'm gonna gently push these two together. That way I know that my queen is in there, she's safe. And you start to hear, this is what we call the roar. You hear the sound difference? So they're just kind of telling us like, hey, we've been open for a little bit. This is just a awesome hive. A little bit of brood down here. I see she's made her way here. You can back and see all the larvae down here, all kinds of pollen. You got some orange. So this right here, that's probably dandelion, that real orange. We'll check this side. That's good. Another solid frame. She's got a ton of room to lay. No indications of swarming. Good population. So that was our 5 frames of our nuke. Let's see what we're looking like for, this was undrawn. This was just plastic foundation. Look at that. She's made her way all the way over. That was within 3 weeks. They're backfilling with nectar, which means that the flow is starting. I see this right here. I want to make sure that's the start of a cup. I'll just take that whole piece right off. That's all good. And there's some new, so this is some of the newest brood on the frame. So they probably just capped this. You see how much whiter it is? And these are all what are called nurse bees. So I could hand you this frame, or I could put this into a new box. These bees will stay with this brood. They keep them at the perfect temperature. They ventilate it. This would be a great frame if you wanted to start a new colony. You know, there's I'd say about 4,000 bees on here that are getting ready to hatch. You'd move this into a new box. You'd take one of those food frames. You'd maybe take another frame like this. You would introduce either a queen, or if you had some swarms, you would introduce a swarm cell so they're getting ready for a queen, and you could start a whole nother colony. But we want honey production, so we're gonna leave that in there. We're gonna try and manage their population. This is the outermost frame. This is wild. A lot of hives, they won't even touch this frame. They've already drawn it out. Looks like a little bit on both sides, actually. All right, so now I know my queen is somewhere in this realm here. So I'm gonna start on this outermost frame. I'm gonna just start moving the frames over as a whole as opposed to individually. Just a little bit of a slower process. You can go. This is what's nice about keeping the bottoms of your frames clear, so that when you need to slide them over, there's not as much garbage on the bottom to get caught up. And so there's nice and gentle. So I'll take the frames that were down there. Always remember the order. I always work that my right hand reaches across, so I know that when I enter it back in, it's directly where it needs to go. And I take the second frame. This is the second to outermost. And, just an awesome colony. So you come in at an angle so you don't squish. Bee, the life of a bee. These are all nurse or worker bees getting through the summer. So they'll live for about 40 days. The bees in winter that get laid, they'll live for close to 6 months. Take our ventilated top cover. Again, when you put it on, don't just plop it down. I like to just take it and you just slide it in. It allows the bees to get out of the way. Put this back on. There we have it. We're done for another week or a while. Within about, I'm thinking anywhere from now to 2 weeks as the nectar flow is really going to start. We don't have to worry as much of swarming. You still want to be mindful of it, but once we get their attention to going out and collecting, then hopefully we just add boxes all the way up. A full medium box drawn out is around 40 pounds of honey. That's a pretty good collection. I like to always just figure like 30 pounds if it's all 10 frames or 9 frames. But if they are all packed together, usually it's about 30 to 50 pounds of honey. So if you add 4, 5, 6 boxes, that's over 100 pounds of honey. Thanks for watching.